I don't know if anybody heard that, but we're already live. What's up, YouTube? This is the second episode of The Pounding. This is David Kerr coming to you. Today's episode is brought to you by Miller High Life, reminding you not to drink Anheuser-Busch products. And today, joining us all the way live. You're damn right. Today, joining us live from Wicked Hyde, Massachusetts. Of course. Cheers, brother. So joining us all the way from Wicked Hyde, Massachusetts, it's Kyle Gillespie. What is up, Rotato? Fucking right, living the dream. Absolutely. So we gotta have it, man. After last week, I love it too. I think there's a lot of tough spots, but definitely some value to be had on this card, and we certainly have a tough act to follow after last week. Going 8 of 10, it should have been 10 of 11 if the Imavov fight didn't get called. A no contest there from Action Man, taking another unfortunate headbutt. But we go plus 7.2 units on 9 units of risk for 80% ROI. That is not too bad if you're in this business. So we'll certainly look to do it just a little bit better again this week. But certainly it was a hell of a Saturday night after that card, getting to enjoy that one. Damn, that was sweet. Absolutely. You love to see it too. So, there's never a rest week here. We are going into UFC Fight Night at the UFC Apex. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. This will be Saturday night, June 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern time starting. In fight one, we have Modestas Bukauskas going against Zach Pauga in the light heavyweight division. Go ahead and give me your early thoughts on this one. Very nice. We love to hear it, and always appreciate the insights on the home gyms as well. Too. Team Elevation is no joke. You're in Mile High City. That definitely is good for the cardio. Zach looked good on the scales today. He doesn't look like he's carrying any of that baby fat that he's had on him for his first couple of fights here. He's 6-1 right now in his pro career, coming in at a medium sized underdog. He's an American, 35 years old, 205 pounds. He stands 6'2" with a 76-inch reach. And his opponent, Modestas Bukauskas, coming in as a pretty chalky favorite, starting to push a minus 200 from Lithuania. He's 29 years old, 205 pounds, 6'3", and a 78-inch reach. I initially thought that Bukauskas was going to be a hell of a lot bigger, but they looked really, really even when they weighed in today. Both of them looked like they made weight pretty clean. Just a smidge. Yeah, and Pauga's done a good job. I mean, he used to be a little bit soft and fluffy, so I like the way that he's kind of really been training hard. Looks to kind of be replacing some of that soft fluff with a little bit of muscle there. So I do agree on the over. Absolutely, a lot of pressure. I mean, this is not going to be a super exciting fight. Like I think he wins by just kind of gaining a lot of control time by just pushing him up against the cage. Bukowskis can absolutely get up, but could Zach get 3 or 4 takedowns? Absolutely. It's low skill heavyweights, but MB, he's a low output fighter. He doesn't put a ton of volume, even when it's on the feet. Now, does he have KO power? Of course he does. And is Zach Pauga a little bit chinny? Yeah. The thing is when they're hugging each other against the cage, you're not going to generate KO power. Modestas Bukowskis opened at a 165 as of Sunday night last week, and he's closing at a minus 189, almost 190. So he's gained a little bit of steam from the public. I'm personally not of the. That's right. I'm definitely not eating that chalk. We've seen Zach Pauga go from a plus 138 up to a plus 160. And we do encourage our guests. Something that we do personally is we shop around on as many books as we possibly can to try and find the best possible lines available. So if you're looking at these lines and you do see that you are, 20, 30 cents off, um, you do yourself a solid by trying to get at least a few more books. It's a little bit easier if you're in a legal state. You might have to be a little bit more creative if you're in a non-legal state, but the means are certainly there. And in my eyes, I don't have a strong lean because I think that both sides are kind of on the lower output side. Um, but I think the path to victory is just a little bit cleaner for Zach Pounga here. Initially this kind of came in as a dogger pass. But if you're giving me plus 160 here on a greasy heavyweight fight, that I really think should be lying closer to a pick 'em personally. I do have some confidence in taking somewhere between a quarter of a unit and a half a unit on Zach Pauga. But I also like the over. I currently see a plus or over 2.5 rounds at minus 185. Do you see anything better out there? Yep. And there are judges that definitely, even though they're not supposed to take the crowd factor into effect, there are some judges that seem like they do. Nothing's been confirmed, but Chris Lee, with your fucking trash ass lines all the time. Anyway, so we have a minus 180 there. I like the over as well too. It is, knowing that we're going to get some good dog value on Zach Pauga plus 160. I don't want to lay tons of chalk here. I think it's like half a unit and half a unit on both. Agree. Like it. Yes, sir. So going into fight number 2, we have a bantamweight matchup with Ronnie Lawrence, who opened as a minus 170 favorite. He's currently about 185. I've seen chalkier to like minus 195, minus 200s out there. And it certainly looks like he's catching some of the steam here. He didn't look great on the scales, but he never really does. He cuts a lot of weight to get down to bantamweight. But that being said, Daniel Argetta also looked a little bit rough on the scales. Everybody made weight, which is, it's good. All these fights are going to be on. But Argetta, came out with the sunglasses on too. So you're not going to get to see the skeleton eyeballs and just, make sure he's looking fresh. He did give a good flex and a scream on the scale. But he definitely looked a bit sucked out up there too. So he opened as a plus 145. He's currently at about a little over plus 160 on the dog side. Over 2.5 rounds at minus 255. The books really see this likely to kind of get above that 2.5 rounds and likely going to decision here, which I do tend to agree with. I think they're both super tough. Argueta is obviously built like a shit brick house. He's muscle on top of muscle. And he's known for a very, very aggressive, consistent flow grappling. He's a very, very solid wrestler here. But he's definitely, yes, sir. But he's definitely not the type of grappler that Ronnie Lawrence struggled with in Said Yokub Kakramanov out last time. He didn't give a good account of himself, but Said Yokub's no joke either. That Dagestani wrestling where he had 12 takedowns. But when you get taken down 12 times, that means he also got up at least 11 of them. And Ronnie, I think, he's been working on his wrestling too. I don't love the price, but he's been working on his wrestling. And a lot of the gym circles do have a lot of really positive things to say about him. If he can stuff the takedowns and stay off the cage, he is worlds above Daniel Argueta on the striking side. And just with Argueta being so muscly, it's like even if he can get a lot of control time in that first round, all that lactic acid builds up. You start to slow down a little bit. The hands start coming down off the chin, and that's where Ronnie Lawrence can absolutely fucking crack. And so when this initially opened, I was on Daniel Argueta as an initial lean here, but I've shifted pretty strongly throughout the week here. I just don't see the cardio. Yeah, man, I don't see the cardio coming through and being able to hold up 3 rounds for him. And I think that RL will pull away, somewhere, within the first minute or two. As long as he doesn't get submitted early, I just see so many more paths to victory, and I think he can stuff the takedowns. Like I think he has come a long ways here. Now, I think that can also yield us a better live bet as well, especially because we think Argueta is going to come and more or less kind of aim to empty the gas tank and really try and go for that early finish here. So I do think there's a good shot at getting Ronnie Lawrence at some live value. But if he comes out and he stuffs takedowns and he's styling him on the feet, you're not going to get better than a minus 185 either. So the side for me is definitely Ronnie Lawrence. What are you seeing? Very well aged win there for sure. Mm-hmm. Agree and agree. I think the books also see that too. Over 2.5 is minus 255. So it's super, super chalky right now. I feel pretty in Ronnie Lawrence here. At minus 185, again, I don't love the price here. And I don't necessarily believe that he's a parlay piece. I think that Ronnie Lawrence, you're going to kind of eat a little bit here. But I feel pretty confident going a full unit on Ronnie Lawrence of risk to win a little over 0.6 units, and just a quarter unit sprinkle for Lawrence by decision. And we just have to hope that Dan Argueta doesn't get too gas, and then Ronnie absolutely styles on him and TKOs him in the third here. But I do agree with you. I do think that Ronnie by decision is definitely worth a look. What line do you have out there? Love to see it. So we're gonna go one unit at -185 on Ronnie Lawrence as the side, and a quarter of a unit at +120 for Ronnie Lawrence by decision. Moving into fight three here. Cheers, fam. We have a women's flyweight division matchup with Teresa. Yup. We have Teresa Bleda going against Gabriela Fernandez. Teresa Bleda opened as a -265 favorite. She's come down a little bit. This line has narrowed. She's at -220 right now, as of time of recording. She looks kind of butch. She wears combat boots for sure. Dude, her barber's got he's got those nice clips. That was looking some high and tight fade right there. Um, Does the curtain match the drapes? Her opponent, Miss. No, she looks like a dude. No, she definitely looks like a dude. And if you watched the actual face-offs, I thought that Gabby Fernandez, just in my head, was going to be bigger. Teresa Bleda dwarfed her. She looked fucking yoked up there. So Gabby Fernandez. Oh yes, absolutely, and you love to see it as well too. Which is interesting that the line kind of came back the other way here. Gabby Fernandez, she opened at +215 and is now at about +180. Gabby has good striking, but she has no answer for the takedown. And this is where Teresa Bleda thrives. I think she comes in and is shooting within the first 10 to 15 seconds of this fight. And I think that Gabby does not have the stand-up game. I think Bleda is going to just absolutely fucking smother her. I don't love the line, but after watching them face off today and seeing that we don't have to eat so much chalk, I do like Teresa Bleda, but I do think that we probably want to look to mine a little bit of maybe parlay value here. Again, when in doubt, you always bet the uglier girl in MMA, and she certainly fits that mold. She might be a dude. But oh, she would kick our ass for sure. And there are some. That's correct. She probably catches bullets too. Minus 220. Very good. Excuse me 1 second here. Ugh, bless me. All right, so minus 220. We're going what? 1 unit? Okay. There's one or two other ones that I really like later in the card where it could make sense to kind of split this equity a little bit, and look to maybe do smaller parlays a little bit later on here. Yep, and she's 21 years old too. Yeah. Agree. We've generally encouraged to really try and control parlays. I know it's fun seeing that huge plus money at the end there, but UFC and MMA in general is a very highly volatile sport, and it's okay to lean into that sometimes. But that being said, building super chalky parlays pretty much never works out. And the one slight hesitation, and it's really not much, but Gabriela Fernandez, she can crack. She's 29 years old, almost 30. So could this could a little bit of experience come in here and create a little bit of a tough time for Bleda? Maybe. But I really like where I think she has such a big advantage on the grappling side that it should put her in a really good position here to point it out and go ahead and get a fairly dominant win. Most likely by way of the wrestling here. So going into fight four, we have another flyweight matchup in the men's side of things. We have Carlos Hernandez, who opened as a minus 130. He's currently at a plus 105, so he's flipped here. And then we have Denise Bondnar, that opened as a even money and is currently at about minus 125. The over 2.5 rounds is minus 175. I'll let you go ahead on this one first. I've been kind of ping ponging on this fight a lot of the week here, and I just don't have what I feel is a great read, mostly because um, I'm worried that Dennis Bondar is a fraud. I know he's from Ukraine. He's fought some decent fighters, but I think his resume is a little bit padded too. He is giving up a little bit on height, but he makes it up on the reach side. I think it's a good stylistic matchup, but I don't have the strongest lean here. Do you remember watching how that went down? So I have an over 2.5 at -175, which I mean, could one of these two get choked out in something stupid or get an ankle lock? Like, yeah. Um, so to me, like this side on this fight is it's a pass. I originally had a very slight lean to Dennis Bodnar, but after I watched a bunch of tape, I mean, I watched him, go toe to toe with a 19-year-old, just like 2 years ago, and he ended up in a lot of bad spots, including on the ground where he's supposed to, be a little bit better than that. Um, so for me, this fight, I mean, dog or pass. You could go Hernandez at. I see him at about plus 110 plus 105, plus 110 kind of range. I'd be okay doing a dog or pass spot. I don't think it's going to feel good leaving chalk on Dennis Bondar. Agree, and I think that this is just a high volatility fight, and it's one of those things where if you're going to do it, lean into the variance and hit that dog or pass. I don't necessarily have a strong feel on the method by decision, so I think that just taking in just that little bit of dog money for like half a unit would definitely make sense here. And what did you say Hernandez by decision was? At a quarter of a unit. That doesn't sound 115. All right. Yeah, Hernandez for plus 115 for half a unit and plus 230 by decision for a quarter of a unit. It's not a bad amount of value right there. So yeah, I'm on board with that. We can go ahead and roll with that. All right, let's see where we're at right now. I think this is fucking taking a long ass time this week. Geez, we're half an hour in and we're on what, fight five. All right, let's see if we can kind of pick up the pace here a little bit. So we have the bantamweight matchup, and I know this is one that you and I have been on all week here. So we have Kung Ho Kang. He opened as a plus 135 dog. He's around plus 120. So I think the public is kind of caught on to that a little bit. And then you have Christian Quinones minus 165 at the opening. He's around minus 140 right now. The over 2.5 is minus 190. You can go ahead and go for it, and then I'll hit you with some stats after. The disrespect. You got a parlay kid. Agree. So I like Kyung Ho Kang here a lot. He's a very savvy veteran. He's been around for a long ass time. And he's a very cerebral fighter. This is one of the things that I really like about someone who's a little bit more experienced. Because he's definitely on the older side of things. I think he's coming in at what, 35 years old, just short of 36 right now. Um, 7-3 in the UFC. He most recently put it to Bakary Dana. Did have an unfortunate loss against Ronnie Yahya, but who's also pretty damn good on the BJJ and the wrestling here. He's beaten Guido Canetti, had a really greasy split Ricardo Hamosh, quite a ways back at UFC 227. But I agree here. I think that he's going to be just a little bit more mature in the octagon. And I think that experience is going to really bode well for him. I really look for him to kind of come after uh, Christian Quinones here. Younger fighter. He does have the Mexican spirit. He's going to come out and fight for your money. He absolutely put it to Khalid Taha his last time out after taking it to Long Xiao on the Contender Series here. But I think that the wrestling is going to be too much for him here. And I don't think that he's going to have an answer for Kyung Ho Kang. So I personally really like Kyung Ho Kang at a plus 120, and I do think that this one is worth going a little bit bigger than kind of the more uniform sizing that we try and teach a little bit of risk management to, with not putting out huge risk bets. But I think the value, even at plus 120, even though there's been a loss in the closing line value there, I think I think 1.5 units is definitely worth some consideration here. Or if we can put it out as 1 unit, and then people can use a quarter of a unit to parlay into somebody like a Teresa Bleda, or potentially someone coming up in fight number 6 here as well too. So like Kyung Ho Kang here for 1.5, but I do think that it's okay to consider taking somewhere between half and three-quarters of a unit and spreading that to somebody like a Teresa Bleda or a super chalky Armin Saruki, and just to kind of get a little bit of exposure to him without paying the monster price tag over there. Agree. We'll certainly be looking for that, and if you're interested in following our chats so that you can see those opportunities, we'll be very interactive throughout those as well too. Moving into fight number 6, it's in the flyweight division. There's a lot of little dudes on this card. I think it's going to be a fun one, and I think we're going to actually see quite a few decisions tomorrow night here. So he's got a decent. His record's not bad. He's 16-6. Pretty well. Cody Durden has really come a long way. And he caught him with a flying triangle choke. He gets a lot of submissions. That's pretty much the only way that he wins, or else he gets knocked the fuck out. He doesn't end up in decision all too often here. I Initially I was thinking that the grappling would be slick enough to hold up, but after a good bit of film study this week, and after looking at Alessandro Costa too, who looks every bit the part, the kid is just absolutely yoked. He looked great on the scale today. He's just thicker, stronger. He's giving up a little bit of size here, but I don't think that works against him. And he definitely has significantly better. Jimmy Flick has nothing for striking. Um, and even then, you got a kid from Brazil. He fights out of Mexico. But I just think that he's gonna dominate the fuck out of Jimmy Flick. And the more that you watch film study, the more that I feel pretty confident in that as well too. And his one loss. So I mean, he's 0-1 in the UFC. Guess who his one loss is to? It's Amir Albazi, the guy that just put an absolute clinic on. I mean, so and he came in on short notice, and so it's like we can't hold it against him. Obviously, he looked great out against Kai Kara France. Unfortunately, I think he stole that win. But coming in on short notice and kind of making it pretty deep into the third round with Amir Albazi, I think is nothing to sneeze at. And so I like Alessandro Costa here. I think he's a parlay piece. I don't know if I can really get behind the price just straight up. He's gotten steamed. Not huge. He opened at minus 250. He's about minus 260 right now. The books definitely see this one going under at minus the under 2.5 is minus 2.5 rounds. I think Flick is very one dimensional. He's over dependent on the wrestling, and he's super chinny. And if Costa can stuff some takedowns, and he's a stout little guy. I think that he can absolutely knock the fuck out of Jimmy Flick personally. Like it. I like it. And with that in mind, now that we are going to start building some parlay equity with Teresa Bleda, the original bet of one unit at minus 220, I think we probably want to peel from that equity. And so I'm going to shift that to zero point 0.5 for now. Let's see how this one kind of plays out through the night. And obviously, if we roll through the first two fights and you want to stack up a little bit into Bleda just straight, but laying that much chalk at women's MMA, never feels good here. I do like trying to unlock a little bit of the value with Alessandro Costa and Teresa Bleda paired together. Agree. And let's see. Costa by finish is minus 145. I think if you're going to take the parlay and get it to even money, I don't think we need to mess with the methods of yeah. I like a kid. All right, moving into fight number 7. We have a welterweight matchup against Muslim Salikov going against Nicholas Dalby, and I mean, I have a decent lean on this fight, but I really don't like the price. And I mean, Salikov looks like the dude looks old. He's 39. He looks 59. He looks like he's had a hard life from Russia. And this is kind of was his way out here. I mean, Nicholas Dalby's given a good account of himself the last several times out too. He's gotten a little bit more dog money as well. He's at plus one. He opened what plus 150, and now he's at plus 165. Um, but I mean, I'm not this one. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about it. I think the striking's pretty even. I think Salikov hits a little bit harder. I don't see this ending up with a ton of wrestling here. And I just like the over at minus 160 at over 2.5 rounds. I just think Salikov wins in a smaller cage. There's not really a whole lot to say on this one for me. Nope. Got it. So I go ahead. Go ahead. No, I will bet you a beer chug every single time, especially if you're going to lay me a minus 190 favorite. Never need an excuse to drink. All right, fight number. It's all good. Fight number 8. We're finally moving up into the lightweight division here. We have Nicholas Mata, who opened as a plus 155 dog, and he's been getting a little more of it. He's plus 163 now. Manuel Torres opened as a minus 180. He's still kind of hovering around minus 185 or so. With the under, this is our first under of 1.5 rounds coming in at minus 165. Manuel Torres comes out with his hair on fire. He is going to try and get a first round finish here. And you love to see that tenacity as well too. I do like Manuel Torres. He looked great his last time out. He definitely is a finisher. And you love to see that in a fighter. That being said, Nicholas Mata is not a slouch. He's been there, and survived the first round here. But I think that's a lot of that is being priced in here, and I wouldn't be. I'm not going to bet it, but would it shock me if Mata is able to hang in to get it past the 1.5 round mark? Not at all. And I personally like the dog here. I am going to be putting a half a unit on Nicholas Mata at plus 163 and change, give or take, either way. And I mean, I would like it, till to about plus 140. After that, it probably gets to not being quite enough value on the dog side. But I like Nicholas Mata here. I think I think he's getting a little bit of disrespect on this line. Agree. I like it. So the over 1.5, I actually think that is like sneaky good value. I'm good up to about a half a unit on that. What do you say? Okay. And got it. And you're out on Nicholas Mata. All right. I'll keep that one for my own personal card then. But I do think Mata at plus 163 is interesting. All good, all good. All right, I'm good rolling with the over there for half a unit. We'll see where we are in the night. I mean, if we're rolling with house money, it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit more on as we get a little bit closer to fight time here. All right, very good. Fight number 9. It's a featherweight matchup against Pat Sabatini, opening as a minus 180 favorite, currently at around minus 190. I've seen as high as minus 205 as well. So it seems like the public is starting to kind of steam Pat Sabatini here. But we're not going to eat that chalk. We like Lucas Almeida here, open as a plus 155. I've seen him as high as plus 175. Average is about plus 165 here. Under 2.5 rounds is a minus 140. In my opinion, like I just, especially after watching him get cold clocked by Damon Jackson, who is not known as a striker. I know it was an emotional moment for Damon Jackson there, with a death in the family, not even 2 days before fight day. So I understand all that. But I mean, Pat Sabatini rolled in there as like a minus 400 favorite and just got absolutely slept like 90 seconds into the fight. Is his grappling really, really good? Yeah. But Lucas Almeida is not terrible with his wrestling and his grappling. His takedown defense isn't great, but he's a good little bit bigger here. He's 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, which is pretty big for 145. And Pat Sabatini's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. I think that this one is, it's not even a dog or pass. I think that Lucas Almeida, with the size advantage and just generally being a little bit bulkier and heavier around the octagon, it's gonna be hard to take him down here. Um, and I think that he absolutely styles on Pat Sabatini when it's on the feet here. Pat Sabatini is a very low output striker. I think his most strikes in one fight is 32, 33 strikes, significant strikes there. He really just kind of like paws at the air just to kind of like force the takedown here. And I just see that, like, especially if Sabatini gets stuffed a couple times, I think Lucas could absolutely light him up on the feet and potentially put him to sleep again. So I like Lucas Almeida at that plus money right there. I'm not going to have a strong play on the total here. I like the plus 165, plus 170 or so that you can find on Lucas Almeida. Yep, and make Sabatini wear it too. Those like pacey white guys do not wear a broken nose and blood all over their face really well too. And I think Lucas is absolutely willing and able to rearrange his face. I'll tell you what, because I don't have as strong of a lean on this. My initial kind of foot in the door with this would have been about a half a unit here. So I'll tell you what, I'll meet you in the middle. We'll go 1 unit for our boy Lucas Almeida here. Agree. I like it a lot too. I think it's a good spot, and I mean, it feels like the line does actually feel a little bit trappy with Sabatini, where it feels like the UFC is trying to give him a layup, and they might be fucking him too, which I think is going to be great. And we're going to be on the right side of that one, so I'm excited to see that fight. I think it's going to be a great stylistic fight too. It should absolutely be a fun one to watch. Speaking of fun ones to watch, we have fight number 10, Christian Leroy Duncan going against Armin Petrosian. Christian Leroy Duncan, open minus 175, currently at about minus 150. Armin Petrosian, open at a plus 150 dog and is currently at plus 125. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 125. Go for it. Nice. I like it. So real quick, just to kind of break this down, like the hype is real with Christian Leroy Duncan. He's obviously got an 8-0 professional record. He has a very, very, very extensive amateur record as well too. But his one, and I mean, he steamrolled Cage Warriors. Obviously a fairly solid regional promotion. And he has his one win, UFC 286 to Dusko Todorovic, who we were with another capper, who that one blew up in our face, unfortunately. But it looks different than it was on paper. It was actually a knee injury, where Dusko Todorovic blew out his knee at the kind of towards the end of the first round there. Rather than it being Christian Leroy Duncan, styling on him or anything like that. I 100% agree with you. I think this is going to be an Armenian party. I love Armin Petrosian in this spot. He's 7-2, 32, 6'3", 71 inch reach. And even though he's he's been in Armenia forever, he's actually raised Russian. So he's got a little bit of that blood in him. All of his wins have come by KO or TK, or he's got 5 KOs and TKOs, 2 decisions. But I agree. I think the AJ Dobson win aged really, really well. He beat Hobo Cop. I think all of these have aged, quite well on his resume. And even then, he went to decision with Caio Bahayo, and Caio Bahayo is rapidly shooting up the ranks there, and is just an absolutely filthy wrestler and Brazilian jiu-jitsu player. I don't think that that's a bad loss, for Armin Petrosian here, and I really actually like him in this spot here. I think, while I do agree that the hype is real for CLD, I think that this is a huge step up for him. This should be a pick 'em. And in that situation, that's a very very clear dog spot for me. And I do have a good degree of confidence in this fight too. I think this is going to go. I mean, for me, I think I am going to go above a unit on this. We'll see where we're at in the night. But I think Armin Petrosian, like I think that the hype story is going to have an abrupt ending here for Christian Leroy Duncan. Agree. So I'll put a little comment in there. You're damn right. You're damn right. Do you feel better now? That's good. We never want to alienate our audience here, all three of you. Good. We love to see it. We love to hear it. All right. So yeah, we're getting to the end here. And I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for this co-main and this main. In Fight 11 in the lightweight division, you have Armin Petrosian coming in at a giant chalk bomb, -1,000. He's been above -1,000 all week. And I mean, I think that's right. Joaquim Silva. I mean, he's not. Credit to the guy for stepping up. A lot of people do not want to fight Armin Sarukian. And understandably so. The guy's an absolute savage. I just put an absolute clinic on Mateusz Gamrot. Yeah, and I mean it's rare to see a number that wide in the UFC. I mean but I think the books are right. I didn't expect it to be that wide. I thought maybe -600, -700, but I don't see a ton of value there. Joaquim Silva's was +600, and probably rightfully so. I don't think that he's a slouch. Like I don't think he's a bad fighter, but I mean you're talking about going and taking a step up to somebody who's in the top five. Um, um, so I don't. So I mean, I think Armin Sarukian is gonna absolutely cruise here. The one part, like, I mean, it's so hard to. I mean, our Sarukian by finish is -400. Like, that's not good value either. And I mean, at that price, like, he has to freaking finish, and it's not necessarily a given here. I mean, the under is only 1.5 rounds is only -150. I mean, it's not that chalky, and I mean. Armin Sarukian is a very tactical fighter. He's a smart, intelligent fighter too, and he does show that he kind of likes to feel his opponents out. He doesn't just go flying in with flying knees and spinning back fists right at the start. He feels his opponent out. I definitely think he has him in literally everywhere in this fight. I can't get behind. I mean, the over 1.5 rounds just doesn't feel good to me. Um, it's really tough to say. I mean, I do think that taking little nuggets throughout the night and building some parlay equity into Sarukian, even though he's not really going to add a ton there, but like a quarter of a unit from Bleda, and make a 2-leg parlay there, and then a quarter of a unit from Costa and make a 2-leg parlay there, and then maybe a quarter of a leg or a quarter of a unit from Armin Petrosian into Sarukian, just to kind of spread out a little bit of that equity here. and get a little bit of plus monies into Sarukian. So I think like Sarukian's gonna win this fight, and I think he does finish him. It's just at minus 400 for the finish. Like, I mean, it's gonna be a sub or a TKO. But it's tough to say. Like, could he absolutely club and sub him? Definitely, but could he sleep him on the feet? And Silva's asleep before his head hits the mat. Yeah, absolutely. It's this one. I just feel like the value's been really sucked out of this fight. And I mean the books are right, but like I mean you're absolutely crazy if you want to lay minus 1,000 chalk. Um, so look at Joner. Very nice. What if we just do for the official play that we give out? How about we do like a half a unit Petrosian Sarukian as an Armenian parlay? All right, so that puts. What does that get the line to? So what is it if you just do Saruki and Petrosian for a unit? Because that gets us to 2 units on Armin Petrosian. If you parlay Petrosian and Sarukian only for an Armenian parlay, because we already have 1 unit into Petrosian, so I don't want to go too crazy with plus 157. That's not bad, and it does help unlock a little bit of value into Armin Sarukian. And again, like we said, like if you want to sprinkle in a Bleda, Costa, Sarukian for. We're just pontificating here. We don't recommend taking 4-leg parlays, guys. But there's ways to get Sarukian into your equity pool without having to absorb significantly outsized risk and lay crazy chalk there. And that's right. Speaking of winning money, we're going into fight 12, the main event in the middleweight division. We have Marvin Vettori going against Jared Cannonier. I think this one's a great stylistic matchup. This is going to be a really, really fun fight. Me too, man. And this line has bounced back and forth. Cannonier's been as high as a minus 120, minus 130, and Vittori's, I've seen him hit, minus 120, minus 125. Currently it's actually when I initially put these lines in a couple hours ago, Vittori was minus 120. Now I'm actually seeing the Cannonier is back to minus 117, and Vittori is starting to move back towards even money here. It's going to be super close either way. I actually think the public is going to continue to go on to Cannoneer here. So I mean, if you're going to take Vittori, wait. Like you don't need to. Um, I definitely don't think you need to rip this until somewhere in the before the co-main event or so. Um, I think it's pretty straightforward. JC, like he's very easy to root for. Came from severe poverty, and was literally like sleeping at his gym coming up. When he was in the heavyweight division, and so he can crack with the big boys. And he's down at 185, and he looks fucking shredded, and he looks great too for 39 years old. That dude's 39 years old. But he seems like he's wearing it pretty well here, and he has the better hands in terms of power. Is he a cleaner striker? I don't know about that. I don't think so. I think MV can get there on the volume, and they both have the cardio to go 5 rounds. We've seen it time in and time out. They actually have very similar resumes. In the weight class. Obviously, Cannonier was a lot bigger before he came down here, but it's a good matchup everywhere. I like the over. I don't love the price. I do think this goes to decision, and a quarter of a unit on the by decision prop for whichever way you're going to take this. I think makes sense. But for my betting dollars, I'm on Marvin Vittori here. Give me just a little bit quicker, a little bit faster on the feet, a little bit cleaner. Does he do as much damage? Maybe not. But I think he can out volume Cannonier. We know that he has, I would say better pure wrestling than Jared Cannonier. And they've been in there with Izzy, they've been in there with Rob Whitaker. Like they've both been through the fucking ringer. that sip looked like it tasted real good. He's a beast. And I love Rob. I love him in his next fight, although I think he's gonna be a fucking chalk bomb too. So yeah, I mean, for my betting dollars here, most of my card I feel like is going to be more or less kind of taken care of at this point. I'm not looking to take huge risk here, but somewhere between a half a unit and a unit on Vittori is about where I'm going to settle. We'll see where we're at by the time fight time rolls around, because I think we probably get Vittori at closer to even money by then. Italian Dream. I like it. I like it a lot. I agree. I think this goes over. I don't really see either of them getting finished, but again, I think the books already know that, and that's why the line's way above minus 200 now. So Marvin Vettori minus 110 for on average. I mean, I think we could see that number actually push closer to even by fight time. So I would wait on this one a little bit here. But 1 unit on the Italian Dream to close it out. Very good. All right. So to recap here, real quick, we're looking at 12 units total of risk. And so we'll just kind of run it down here real quick for you guys. So we have Zach Pauga versus Nick Bukowskis at over 2.5 rounds at minus 180 for half a unit. Zach Pauga straight at plus 160 for half a unit. Ronnie Lawrence, where we will be looking for live bets, especially if Argetta can get him, on some wrestling time early. But we're going to go Ronnie Lawrence minus 185 for a unit. And then we're also going to sprinkle Ronnie Lawrence by decision at plus 120 for a quarter of a unit. Teresa Bleda is minus 220, risking half a unit there. And then we'll look to unlock a little bit of parlay equity a little bit later in the card with her as well, too, as a first leg. We're going Carlos Hernandez, dogger pass situation, plus 115 for half a unit. And Hernandez by decision is definitely worth a sprinkle at plus 230 for a quarter of a unit there as well, too. Kyung Ho Kang, also someone who we'll be looking for a live bet if he starts a little bit sluggish there. But plus 120 for a unit and a half. That is one of our, that actually is our biggest play on the card. We love it. So excited about it. Alessandro Costa. For sure. All right, Alessandro Costa and Teresa Bleda as a parlay, so that we can get some exposure into Alessandro Costa going against Jimmy Flick. Plus 104 for 1 unit there. We have Muslim Salikov and Nicholas Dalby over 2.5 rounds at minus 160 for 1 unit. And then you and I will have a beer bet there as well, too. Me taking Muslim Salikov and you taking Nicholas Dalby there. Pick number 11 is Nicholas Mata and Manuel Torres over 1.5 rounds, plus 135 for half a unit. Fade the public all the way there with all the public money coming in on the under. Then we have Lucas Almeida plus 165 for a unit. Armin Petrosian plus 125 for 1 unit. We're going to do an Armenian parlay for another unit. So we're going to go Armin Petrosian and Armin Sarukian for 1 unit, getting you plus 157 there. And then we'll close it out with Marvin Vittori straight on the money line, minus 110 for a unit, and Marvin Vittori by decision at plus 120 for half a unit, bringing you a total of 12 units risk. And we'll be looking to, I can't sit here and promise that we're going to put up 80% ROI like last week, but we're certainly going to damn well try. Absolutely. A sun run. This is a hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.